नमस्कार दोस्तों, स्वर अक्षर की आज की सितंबर 2024 की ये खास महफिल में आपका स्वागत है। और अमृत जी, अनामिका जी, लोकेश, अर्चना, सौम्यनंदा, सौमित्रा, आप सभी का तहे दिल से शुक्रिया हमारा निमंत्रण स्वीकारने के लिए। हम दोनों, नीता और मैं, हम दोनों कनाडा ग्रेटर टोरंटो एरिया में करीबन 30 साल से गुजराती साहित्य और संगीत की गतिविधियों से जुड़े हुए हैं। साहित्य, संगीत, नाटक और सिनेमा में रुचि रखने वाले दोस्त हमसे जुड़ते रहते हैं और आप सबकी बदौलत हमारा कारवां चलता रहा है। ऑनलाइन प्लेटफॉर्म की वजह से अब हम हमारे पंख हिंदी और इंग्लिश में भी फैला रहे हैं। आज का ये कार्यक्रम हम हिंदी और इंग्लिश में करते चलेंगे। Friends, in February 2024, we had organized our program from Mumbai. On that day, our guest speaker, Shri Amrit Gangar, was also our host. It was so nice of him when I had suggested that we can do a program from a guest's home, and he became our host. So I keep thanking him every time I talk about it. So thank you, Amritji. Later on, when we continued our conversation, we decided to conduct occasional sessions dedicated to films. And we thank Mr. Gangar for suggesting the name Indulgence into Occasional Explorations into Moving Images or Moving Image. We are delighted to have Mr. Amrit Gangar with us today. As many of us know, Sri Gangar is a film scholar, theorist, historian, and author. Today, we have selected a 2018 film that was released on the festival Mami, and also it was one of the two films selected in Sundance Film Festival in a particular genre. The film Ghode ko Jalebi khilane le ja riya hoon by Anamika Haksar. We are glad to welcome Anamika ji and her team on Swar Akshar platform today. In this film, the dreams of laborers of Shahjahabad, that's Old Delhi, are explored. This magic realism compels us to participate in the film. I invite the film scholar Sri Amrit Gangar to briefly talk about the evolving idea of the moving image and cinema, and then introduce Anamika Haksar. Amritji.
Yeah. Nearly half a century ago, Ronald Barthes had written a book whose title was Image, Music, Text. And incidentally, it seems to be resonating this evening here in India and morning in the other hemisphere. Swar Akshar today is getting its third dimension, becoming Chavi Swar Akshar, which has the Barthian echo. Chavi or Chabi in Gujarati is image. Swar is a musical note and Aksar is letter of a text, if you will. Incidentally, today on 1st September 2024 is Anamikaji's theatre guru B.B. Karan's 22nd Punya Tithi or death anniversary. This is quite significant and it's Joganu Jog, as we say in Gujarati. Karan Saab passed away on 1st September 2002, which was also a Sunday, again, coincidence. And Karan Saab was a versatile man whose contribution to theatre and cinema, as well as music in cinema and both theatre, are so remarkable. And it's quite coincidence that we have his Punyatithi today. And I would request, or I would presume, with Nita Ben's and Silas Bai's permission, that we dedicate our today's program to the memory of Bibi Karan Saab. This, I'm sure you will like Anamika ji. Thank you, Nita Ben and Silas Bai, for accepting my proposal and making this triangular journey possible. My imagination of moving image and cinema has no intention to create any binary, but it carries a sense of continuing history. When Lumiere Brothers Emissary presented the cinematograph was the gadget, two-in-one, which was also printer and projector. At Mumbai's Watson's Hotel at Kalagoda, which still extant, the Times of India had announced the show as the marvel of the century, wonder of the world, living photographic pictures in life-size representation. Now, all these wordings indicate the sense of realism that Anamika's film, actually, which we are going to discuss today, is battling against. Her sense of realism is very different, a very Indian sense of realism, which also she practiced in her theater. Living photographic pictures were actually static images which moved when projected at a certain speed per second. Earlier, it was 16 frames per second, then 24 frames per second, and now in digital is much more. In my article on the film, I have described Anamika's film as a living archive. I prefer the idiom of moving image rather than film or cinema because film history will be seen as part of the larger continuous history, which will include video, television, computer-generated imagery over the transitionary ages of the analog and the digital. It will be a history of motion pictures or moving pictures, but essentially it will be history of moving images. That's what I prefer to call. In this context, one significant event that had happened recently in Mumbai was VICA, Fields of Vision. VICA stands for Video Art by Indian Contemporary Artists in India, which had 121 video works presented or created by 79 Indian artists. This is, I think, very significant event to my mind. Held at the Bhaudaji Lad Museum, it was curated by Bharti Kapadia, Chandita Mukherjee, and Anuj Daga. It was also about exploring the moving image, and that is what my point is about. And technology helps us to obliterate state-controlled censorship in some ways. Censorship rules in India, we know how they are. And they're also applicable to theater. That many people think that theater is not within the ambit of censorship. But in 1994, Anamika ji had created Raj Darpan, the first time documentation of the repressive Dramatic Performance Act of 1876 with the students of the National School of Drama, her alma mater. Over a century and a quarter, we still use the interchanging terms of cinema for cinema house or theater for cinema house. Often we say that I'm going to Alfred Theater to see a film, or I'm going to Roxy Cinema to see a film. You know, these terms are interchangeable, which had become talkies. This theater or cinema became a talkies when silent film became sound. Today, even the spectatorial experience of the exhibition space has witnessed a transformation. The exhibition space, what I mean is galleries are showing films today in 2-3 months in evening shows. Chatterjee and Lal Gallery, for example, showing Ashish Abhikuntak's Prayoga work. So it's such a change that we are experiencing over a period of time. I was actively involved with the Mumbai International Festival of Documentary Short and Animation Films, which began its journey in 1990, around the time when video had already made its presence. In 1992, if I remember right, We had so many video entries, and since film and video binaries still existed, the festival had two separate sections for film and video. I was instrumental in naming the section Video Vista. In fact, around that time, I had also curated a program for Goethe Institute or Macmillan Bhavan, where I labeled this program as Video Vichar. There were two separate awards in the MIF, of course. We were still in the analog age. Gradually, this difference got completely diffused as the narrative of or non-narrative, fiction or non-fiction entries were treated in broader spectrum of moving image. Many artists from other artistic realms also entered the field. On set of the digital era, completely changed our perception, but we still continue with our vocabulary of film, cinema, and video. Many of these channels, video channels or YouTube channels are still called video. They often use this term. In the word Aksar, in the Tribhuja of Chavi, Swar and Akshar, there is a sense of imperishability. Aksar is the phenomenon which is not perishable. I find the continuation in this sense in Anamika Haksar's film Ghode ko Jalebi Khilane le ja Riya Hoon. And this phenomenon, the continuing phenomenon or Akshar, imperishable phenomenon is memory. The film is born out of this moving phenomenon, which Anamika ji and her wonderful team of actors and fellow artists have realized. I've known Anamika ji for about a decade and a half now, thanks to my friends, writer Sarmistha Mohanty and filmmaker Kabir Mohanty. In fact, you can see both of them in the film. And I feel so fortunate to know Anamika ji, who through her practice of theater has explored even Fyodor Dostoevsky, his voluminous novel Idiot, and her play was called Bavla. It's not an easy task to adapt such a novel into theater. She has brought onto Rangmanch, Gogol, Gorky, and the Spanish artist Goya, besides Tagore and several others. She is the only Indian to train in the most prestigious State Institute of Theatrical Arts in Moscow. Disciple of such stalwarts as Badal Sarkar and Baby Karant, Anamika ji is credited with bringing in a new language of visual, metaphoric, poetic theater in India in a contemporary context, as well as a re-look at Indian sense of realism. This is a very important aspect of her film too. Anamika ji Haksar had formulated a syllabus for the production process for the National School of Drama in the 1990s. She has trained some of the most eminent theater directors today, as well as actors in contemporary theater. I had the opportunity to see only a couple of her plays from a large repertoire of theatrical productions, but even a glimpse glowed her unique mind that explored space on stage, which retains its elementality in our film. We are so fortunate to have not only Anamika Haksar herself, but the entire team that has created this milestone in Indian film history. Ghode ko Jalebi Khilane le ja Riya Hoon. Very quaint, very strange title for an Indian film. I would now request Anamika ji to introduce each of our teammates on the film, and we are sure we will obtain new and deeper insight into the film through this wonderful discourse. Over to you, Anamika ji.
Okay, so thank you, Swar Akshar, Shailesh ji, Neeta ji, for inviting us.
Yes.
It's a big honor also that someone like Amrit Gangaji, who we have the greatest respect for, is actually honoring us with his presence and talking about the film. So this is really wonderful for us. I want to introduce my team. I begin with Archana Shastri. Archana Shastri.
Sorry, Anamika ji, एक request थी. I'm sorry to interrupt, but आपकी टीम से
हाँ
जैसे अनामिका जी एक एक करके आपका परिचय देती है, तभी आप सबको रिक्वेस्ट है कि फिल्म से जुड़े हुए एक्सपीरियंस के बारे में और आपके फिल्म के काम के बारे में 2-4 मिनटों में कुछ बातें करेंगे, मजा आएगा।
ठीक है। So, Archana Shastri, who is the production designer of our film, and she is also a very well-known artist from the Baroda School of Art. And she has, of course, a great scholar, has worked on textile and designing, researched on rituals. And she has helped us a great deal in the realization of the dreams of the migrant workers. I'm just giving a brief introduction for each of my team members, and then they can talk a little bit about their own experience or themselves or whatever. Archana, do go ahead. Archana.
अनम्यूट कीजिएगा।
Archana ji, please unmute.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's
Can
good.
you hear me now?
Yes. Thank you.
For me, it was a great challenge. I mean, it was actually a shift from one medium to another. And besides that, the whole experience of making the film with Anamika was, it was like sort of it was a challenge to kind of build the gap between fantasy and reality. And, taking it from a very, very kind of base and physical kind of experience of the space and people, and to kind of go into kind of so sort of, it was really a flight from one extreme to the other, and quite a challenge to retain both the pathos and the empathy, which was kind of embedded in it, and yet, to find a kind of a relief and escape, and, sort of moving away from it and into it. So this kind of meandering, which was happening in a very poetical way. And even in terms of images, it was a shift from one medium to another medium, from drawings to kind of taking ready-made images to actually putting them together, from photographs from the real sort of site. So, and then kind of getting them animated and things like that. So it was actually a very explorative experience for me, and a very kind of heartening and expansive, since almost everyone kind of contributed to it and expanded on it further and further. And that was the greatest kind of experience which I sort of, have in my memory. Thank you.
I would take great pleasure in introducing you to Soumyanand Sahi, who is the cinematographer of the film. Again, Soumyanand Sahi is from FTII, has won several accolades for a lot of the films that he's been making, and several awards. He has contributed very democratically and helped me so much to realize so many of the ideas, the philosophy behind the film. And it was a great pleasure, working with someone who is so democratic and is so sensitive and responsive, to ideas, to helping us realize that. And today we feel very proud that he has worked in many, many films, and now, is creating his own language of cinema. I would love Somu to speak and to share his experience.
Thank you so much. I truly consider myself extremely lucky to have been a part of this film. And it came at a juncture when I was just coming out of film school, and it was as Archana said, a very expansive process, but it was also, something that really helped me, break out of the trappings of realism that tend to come part and parcel with filmmaking, because of this one-to-one relationship you imagine between the camera and the world outside. Whereas with Anamika's script and the process, it kind of there was a documentary element which was very intensely real. but then I think the one of the things I've learned from Anamika that has changed my view of working in this medium totally is that everything is psychological. So even if you're shooting a street, it is when it gets captured in the camera, or when it gets put on a stage, or it becomes a stage, then it becomes something more than just something out there. It becomes an internal world, and this kind of looking for an internal world in a documentary setting was the most challenging and the most enriching, as well as this expansive quality of building layer upon layer upon layer, like it's the rather than peeling an onion, it is actually the onion growing in a way where there's so many different layers that got added on, and these it kind of made me feel like a Brechtian gaze of to the viewer, that you're watching a play. What Anamika's use of this medium constantly makes us aware of the craft of the fact that we're watching a film with animation, with all these added on layers, but at the same time the reality is so strong that and that is the intention of which is empathy, and which is the history of the city that is being captured, that is in a sense so strong that then all that just with gestures, just with a very untethered narrative is actually in a way communicates that authenticity more. So it was I've never worked on a film like this before, or I don't think I ever will again, because it was truly one of a kind, and it really pushed all of us as technicians working on this film to a space where we weren't relying on it was coming out of a history, but it was always treading new ground. So for that I'm very grateful.
Thank you so much, Somu. I mean, I can just say that without you there, without your vision, this film would really have not reached where it is. And I say that, as you know, from the very bottom of my heart. And there are very few, artists like that. And I know that your journey ahead is just going to go deeper and better and amazing. And I'm so glad you came today. So I now introduce Lokesh, who has not only helped us in the research, has also written the dialogues, and he has also acted in it. As if those of you who have seen the film, he has been trained by Al-Qazi Sahab and is very passionate about the history of Old Delhi, and writes, has written a lot of his own scripts in theatre, has worked a lot with NGOs and with young children, trying to give them a dignity in life, and has been very active, and has also really upheld us through this whole process in which we were trying to find, a combination of how do we move. Like, for example, I had actually given Lokesh a questionnaire, on a personal questionnaire to be asked from people like street people, laborers, people who are beggars, people, and the questions were like, आपको किस चीज से डर लगता है, आपके जहन में किस तरीके के सपने आते हैं, what do you dream about, आप क्या सोचते हैं. These are very personal questions, and Lokesh and his wife Chavi, they spent a year or two, Sarita Sahi also helped us, in which they actually went and got answers from authentic sources, from authentic people. And I think that was a huge contribution. And then we blended the documentary with the fictional. With that, I'd love Lokesh to talk about his experience and his work. Yeah.
Thank you so much, अनामिका जी. आपने बहुत गहराई और सूक्ष्मता के साथ इस सारी बात को बयां किया. मैं सिर्फ इतना बोलना चाहूंगा कि घोड़े को जलेबी खिलाने ले जा रहा हूँ, जहाँ पुरानी दिल्ली के अंदर मैं रहता हूँ और उसके आसपास का जो पूरा माहौल है, वहां पे जिंदगी जीते हुए ये फिल्म को जिंदगी के करीब जो है बिल्कुल उस ढंग से ही उसको पाया है। मतलब जो सड़क पे पड़े हुए लोग हैं, जो लेबर्स हैं, लोडर्स हैं, जिनके साथ मेरा रोज जिंदगी का रास्ता है, रोज जिंदगी का रास्ता, उनके साथ रास्ते में मुझे मिलते हैं, उनके साथ दुआ सलाम है, उनके साथ काम है। तो ये जो चीज है, इसके अंदर कोई विरोधाभास नहीं है, बल्कि अगर इसकी गहराई से कहूँ कि सिर्फ नाटक में ही नहीं, हर एक चीज में कहीं ना कहीं, अगर मैं मंटो की कहानी भी पढ़ रहा हूँ या प्रेमचंद को भी पढ़ रहा हूँ, वो मुझे मेरे आसपास के पूरे माहौल में, मुआशरे में दिखाई देती है। तो अनामिका जी ने मेरी इस जुनून को, मेरे इस पैशन को समझा, और दोस्तोवस्की के नाटक के साथ हम लोगों का एक बहुत गहराई के साथ ये एक रिश्ता बना था, और वहां से फिर वो दोस्तोवस्की का नाटक भी कैसे सूफीज्म और तमाम चीजों के करीब से होता हुआ, उस तमाम चीजों को हम लोगों ने बहुत भराव के साथ एक्सप्लोर किया था। और उसी में घोड़े को जलेबी जो है, रोज एक नए अनुभव को और उन सपनों को, उन वहां के जीवन को, उन गलियों के अंदर की तपिश को, उन गलियों के अंदर की घुटन को, उन उसकी हिस्ट्री को, और उसके आज जो वहां पे लोग रह रहे हैं। अब जैसे कल रात को भी मैं पूरी रात जो है यहाँ पे, हम लोग सड़कों पे घूम रहे थे और ये काउंट डाउन कर रहे थे कि कितने लोग यहाँ पर हैं। तो लगभग लगभग हम लोगों ने काउंट डाउन किया, सिर्फ पुरानी दिल्ली के अंदर ही लगभग 40 से 50 हजार लोगों का काउंट डाउन निकल के आया। इसका मतलब उससे ज्यादा डबल लेवल पे लोग यहाँ पर हैं। तो यहाँ पर चौबीसों घंटे की लाइफ है। लोग जो हैं हर समय लेबर्स, लोडर्स और इस तरह के लोग अपने आसपास घूम रहे हैं, और कुछ ऐसे भी लोग हैं जो अपनी आइडेंटिटी ढूंढते हैं यहाँ पर, यहाँ के हेरिटेज के साथ, यहाँ के कल्चर के साथ, यहाँ की लैंग्वेज के साथ, उर्दू से उनकी जो मोहब्बत है उसके साथ, उनके जो पुराने विरसे हैं जो यहाँ पर रहते आए हैं उनके साथ। जब हिंदुस्तान पाकिस्तान का बंटवारा हो रहा था, और उस बंटवारे के अंदर के से उन्होंने, ये मुसलमानों ने जो ये डिसाइड किया कि हम कहीं और नहीं जाएंगे, वो जो कंपोजिट कल्चर है जो हिंदू और मुसलमान और जैन और यहाँ पे रहने वाली काइस और डिफरेंट कम्युनिटीज के बीच में जो है, ये सब चीजों को जीते हुए समझने की, और उसको साथ में जो हमारे आसपास घट रहा है उसको उसी वक्त पे ढूंढने की तलाश को जो है, हम लोगों ने इस फिल्म के अंदर पूरा बार बार निरंतर खोजने की कोशिश की। तो इट्स अ वंडरफुल प्रोसेस। मतलब मैं बता नहीं सकता, ये लफ्जों से परे है। मतलब रूह के करीब की कहीं पे कोई एक खुशबू है, उस एक एहसास है, एक स्पर्श है जिसको अंदर से महसूस किया है बहुत सारा। और सारी टीम का भी मैं बहुत बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ। थैंक यू सो मच अनामिका जी।
Thank you, Lokesh. And now I come to Soumitra Ranade. And Soumitra is also a director and also from the JJ School of Art. And he is the person who has done the realization. He's the bridge, about realizing the visual and animation of the film. So Archana would sometimes, we got the dreams from the documentation, from location, Chavi, then we would look at the dreams, then Soumyanan Sahi and Archana Shastri, and then Soumitra Ranade would actually be sitting, and we would be thinking how and what is the way we must find to actually reflect these dreams. क्योंकि सपने तरह तरह के हैं, उन सपनों का क्या जानर है, क्या स्टाइल है, उसको कैसे शूट करना है, उसको कैसे एनिमेट करना है. This was a big decision, and it was taken by all of us working together, talking together, exploring together. Once we actually received the dreams, what is the way? And Ranade, was really helped us a lot. In fact, he came and he was with us for the first shoot. And he and Somo would sometimes go off on their own also. And, they have shot spaces like the rooftops, and which have all come into our dreams, where the loaders are sitting on their mobiles, water starts filling up. That is also part of the dream. So I'm extremely grateful for such support, not only during, but even later, all the time. There has been so much graciousness in the way he has been with us and been with the film. And I'm again truly grateful to him. I'd love him to speak a little bit about what he felt and what he experienced.
Yeah, Anamika, you're embarrassing us actually, because
I'm saying nothing. I mean,
you're embarrassing us because we are absolutely fortunate to have had the opportunity to work on this film, and actually I'll tell you why this is a very interesting film for me. Because so Anamika is a very established theatre person. Obviously, we all know that, and she also has relationships with other art forms like painting, literature, theatre, music, and cinema, and it's all these things. So, the film is a composite of her lived experiences, and what is so exciting about the film for me is that she was brave enough to be really truthful to her experiences, her lived experiences, her felt experiences. Very few filmmakers have the courage to be so truthful to that. And why it was exciting for me as a technician to be working on this, she compelled me also to go back to my experiences, to go back to my art school, to the film school, and everything that I've learned, that I've experienced over the last 25 years. So to believe in that and come up with imagery that were unique, because our experiences are unique. We don't like when you talk about VFX or animation, a certain kind of images come into your mind, which are obviously coming from the West, these big Disney pictures, or all these. But we had to literally dive inside ourselves and bring out that perhaps we had lost somewhere. I had in this whole journey of living in a city. And so Anamika gave us that kind of a courage actually to believe in ourselves. And yes, as you know, all the rules have been broken in this film. Literally, there is nothing. So, which is why it's such an exciting film, I think. Yeah.
So it would be nice to know if among the people who are hearing us, I hope you've all seen the film, and they would like to ask anything from the team. It would be nice if each, that would be very nice.
Anamika, sorry, Paresh ji has joined.
Oh, lovely, wonderful. I can't see him, so I didn't.
No, that's okay. That's why. Yeah.
It is a great gratitude and with great pleasure that I introduce Paresh Kamdarji, who all of you will know is a very well-known director also in his own right. And he is, of course, a brilliant editor, and we were deeply honored that he actually agreed to come and edit our film. And for that, I'm, of course, very grateful to, Kabir Mohanty, who knows him and said that, would you please edit her film? And it was just amazing how he helped us to shape the film, to understand, the rhythmics, and to give it the shape that it has, and how much. What was wonderful, I've spoken firstly about Ishwar because I think the people are just very special. I mean, he's such a senior editor. He could have wished me away. Who was I? I've never even made a film. But every minute, there's so much respect in him for someone like me who doesn't know. And I mean, I say this for my entire team, and especially for those who are actually film people like, Ranade and Somu and Paresh ji. they could have sort of wished me away and said, you know, what the hell. But at every phase, there was so much respect and so much learning, you know, and I am so deeply grateful for the kind of input, for the kind of patience. And of course, I drove him nuts as he did me, because it was very difficult to accept, you know, editing and where do we edit, and no, this shouldn't be going out. And there was a lot of debate on that. But it was one of the greatest, again, learning experiences to have him there. And I'd love him to say whatever he felt.
सॉरी, सबसे पहले मैं थोड़ा लेट आया क्योंकि एक्चुअली मैं भूल गया. नो, आई एम स्लाइटली टेंस बिकॉज मुझे कल से 15 दिन क्लास लेने हैं, वो 18 साल के लड़कों के लिए. तो आई यूजुअली गेट टेंस बिफोर माय क्लासेस.
We all do.
तो पर मैं काफी देर से आ चुका हूँ और
मैंने आपको देखा नहीं, इसलिए मैंने आपको
नहीं, मैं अपनी ये कर रहा हूँ क्योंकि मैं लेट आया. तो सबसे पहले तो ऐसा है ना कि वो खुदा मेहरबान तो गधा पहलवान है, क्योंकि उन्होंने पता नहीं कहाँ से वो कबीर को सूझा कि मेरा नाम बताया, है ना. तो आई एम एक्सट्रीमली लकी, क्योंकि फ्रॉम द टाइम आई सॉ द फर्स्ट मटीरियल and I spoke to her and I read the script, just these three things. No, I'm still saying this film still remains to be discovered. ये ऐसी फिल्में तुरंत अप्रिशिएट भी नहीं होती है. नो, ये एक कालजयी फिल्म है. इट विल गेन इन इट्स importance and value as the time passes. No, this is not something जो कि हम देख के भूल गए, एक और अच्छी फिल्म देखी और आगे बढ़ गए, ऐसा नहीं है. दिस फिल्म विल कम टू हॉन्ट द सोसाइटी मोर एंड मोर, नो. और not in terms of its content and politics, but its sheer cinematic vision. तो मेरे लिए ऑनेस्टली स्पीकिंग ये सौम्यानंद और अनामिका और लोकेश जी ने उनका रिसर्च, इनका शूट, और अनामिका जी, तो फिल्म मैं कैसे भी एडिट करता अच्छी बनने वाली थी. द मटीरियल वाज सच, नो, कि आगे पीछे कुछ भी अगर हो भी जाता है ना, बट क्योंकि विजन ऐसा है इसके पीछे, इसकी एनर्जी वैसी है, इसकी ऑनेस्टी जो सौम्यानंद का, ये सौमित्र कह रहा था, इतनी ब्रेव और इतनी ऑनेस्ट फिल्म है, इतना विजन है, विच इज ऑलमोस्ट फ्री फ्रॉम बर्डन ऑफ हिस्ट्री ऑफ सिनेमा. नो, कि इस तरह से ही, हाँ, कि इस तरह से करने से ही हमें लगता है कि हमारे लिए हमारी ट्रेनिंग आड़े आ जाती. नो, कि एक ओरिएंटेशन बन गया है जिसका एक हिस्टोरिकल कंटिन्यूम में फंसे रहते हैं, तो उससे निकल पाना कभी कभी बहुत मुश्किल होता है ना, माइंड को उतना फ्री कर पाना. तो अनामिका जी was simply driven by her vision and her passion. तो I'm lucky कि I was part of this film. और उसमें भी मजेदार बात, हमने खूब मजे करके एडिट किया था. भाई हम बात में हंसते ही रहते थे, क्योंकि एडिटिंग यूज्ड टू बी लाइक, अपन वो कोई चीज खरीदने जाते हैं ना, तो बार्गेनिंग होती है ना, कि नहीं ये इतने में ही मिलेगा, इतने में नहीं मिलेगा, अच्छा तो फिर ये इतने में दो, फिर नहीं तो ये भी साथ में दो, है ना. तो दैट वाज द काइंड ऑफ थिंग विच वी हैड गोइंग. मैं कहता था ये काट देते, ये सीन ये काम का नहीं है. अरे वो उस आदमी ने मेरी इतनी हेल्प की है, उसका सीन मैं कैसे काट सकती हूँ. मैं बोला भाई जो भी कीजिए, 2 घंटे की फिल्म बननी है, उससे आगे नहीं जा सकते, तो आप तय कर लीजिए इसको रखना है, तो फिर कहाँ से काटना है वो भी आप बता दीजिए. तो उनको बहुत, मतलब कहने को कि बहुत गुस्सा आता था कि ये आदमी मेरे को छोड़ ही नहीं रहा है. मैंने पकड़ लिया था कि 2 घंटे से ज्यादा की फिल्म नहीं बनानी, तो उनसे ही एडिट करवाया था कि भाई अगर ये रखना है तो फिर क्या निकालना है वो बताइए, अभी आपकी जिम्मेदारी. तो वी हैड अ ग्रेट टाइम. और एंड आई एम सर्टन that this film will get its due recognition in time. इंडियन सिनेमा में ऐसा वॉइस और ऐसी फिल्म बहुत ही कम बनी, बल्कि मैं थोड़ा अपने आप को बचा रहा हूँ ये नहीं कह के कि ऐसी बनी नहीं, आई एम जस्ट प्लेइंग सेफ, बट आई नो इन माय हार्ट कि ऐसी फिल्म नहीं बनी है, ऑल फिल्म मेकर इंक्लूडेड। थैंक यू।
फुल कमाल कर दिया मतलब, क्या बताएं आप। Just a blessing to have such great artists
हाँ, वो
and
सब इकट्ठे हो गए, हम सब सही लोग।
इकट्ठे हुए, and I think I was just blessed, you know, just blessed to
नहीं
have.
नहीं, बट वो इतना दम चाहिए, सिंपल वन वर्ड इज दम, इतना दम, चाहे विजन का, इज द शेयर फिजिकल एफर्ट, ऐसे जगह पे जाके इतने दिनों तक शूट करना, और फिर कोई शूट करके चला गया लेकिन मैम जुटी हुई है, फिर इतने सारे वीएफएक्स, उनको वीएफएक्स का भी नहीं पता था, और वो इतना करवाया, और वो कुछ बोले, वो स्टूडियो के टेक्नीशियन समझ नहीं पा रहे हैं, उसका फ्रस्ट्रेशन, तो कभी थकी नहीं। इट्स नॉट इजी। मैं तो 6 महीने में 6-8 महीना एडिट किया तो लगा अरे यार बहुत बड़ा, तो वो तो कब से कर रही है, वो एक शेड्यूल किया, वो मतलब मेकिंग ऑफ दिस फिल्म के बारे में आपको लिखना चाहिए। शेड्यूल किया, वो कैंसिल हो गया, लोगों ने आके शूटिंग रोक दी, क्या क्या नहीं हुआ। तो बहुत बहुत ही रेयरली ऐसा कोई अटेम्प्ट करता है सबसे पहले, नो, और फिर ऐसे लोग भी जुट गए, है ना, एंड स्पेशली वो सोमू शूटिंग में, इट इज नॉट एन इजी फिल्म टू शूट
अरे नहीं
एट ऑल।
भाई, ना पीसफुल एक दिन भी सोमू के साथ, मतलब इतने शहर में हम घुस रहे हैं, एक एक शॉट है इतनी शांति के साथ, और रियली सौम्यानंद साई है तो सौम्यता इनकी खासियत है, रियली वो सौम्य सौम्य इंसान है, किस
या
बैलेंस के साथ इन्होंने अपना रखा है पूरे वक्त, बहुत बड़ी बात है।
थैंक यू अनामिका जी, इंट्रोड्यूस किया पूरी टीम को, and we got a lot out of it. In fact, there were questions which are already answered. लेकिन I will start key, and we will open for the audience also Q&A. थोड़ी बातचीत करते हैं कि सबसे पहले ये फिल्म और इस प्रकार की फिल्म बनाने का बीज कैसे बोया गया?
इसका बीज ऐसे बोया गया कि बहुत पुराना रिश्ता है, मेरे जो एंसेस्टर्स हैं वो कश्मीर से माइग्रेट होके 1870s में आके, मेरे जो दादा थे उनके जो भाई हैं वो पुरानी दिल्ली में बसे थे, टाउन हॉल के सामने। तो बचपने से हम जाया करते थे, वो एक हिस्सा था, यू नो, ये पर वो हिस्सा था जैसे इन अ वे जो आकाश जैन रिप्रेजेंट करते कि यू नो उसका कबाब, उसका ये, उसका शबाब एंड ऑल दिस सॉर्ट ऑफ थिंग। जैसे मैं बड़ी होती गई तो मैंने एक पॉइंट पे एक्यूप्रेशर कैंप्स चलाए थे, वहां के आम जो महिलाओं के साथ, आम लेबर के साथ, और उससे हम लोग जब बातें करते थे तो हमको उनसे कहानियां मुझे मिली हैं, in which people would talk about, you know, there were, I worked in the Hamdard Dawakhana and I worked in an orphanage where it was attended by people who were underprivileged, and they would tell their stories, the connection between the disease and the stories. So वो एक चीज आने लगी, प्लस ये पुरानी दिल्ली में नहीं था मगर वजीरपुर में I had worked in an unorganized sector trying to collect the data of people who are working in unorganized sector in the steel factory. अब वो फिर हम लोगों ने उसके ऊपर नाटक भी किया था, तो क्या क्या कंडीशंस हैं लेबर की, वो किस तरीके से रहते हैं, ये चीज। सो ये 3 strands थी, and I also of course have married into that area, so there was all the time these characters were coming in and out of my lives, जो आप देख रहे हैं जो मेन है, यानी छदम्मी, आकाश जैन, पत्रू जो थे, और क्या नाम है, गोपाल अंदर, लेबरर, एक्टिविस्ट, ये सब लोग कहीं ना कहीं मेरी जिंदगी में आके निकले हैं, देखा है इन लोगों को। तो जब मैं आई बॉम्बे तो सडनली द स्क्रिप्ट स्टार्टेड कमिंग टू माय माइंड कि 3 लोग हैं, वो छत पे हैं, ये एक गाइड है, वो लेके जाता है, उनके सपने कभी कभी मिक्स हो जाते हैं, और कभी कभी ये वॉक्स पे ले जाते हैं, एक पीपल्स वॉक पे ले जाता है एक। सो इस तरीके से द एंटायर script started coming. I don't know why, because I never wanted to do cinema. I was a pure theater person. So I had no idea that I sometimes feel that the script wrote me. I wrote almost 35 pages of a skeletal script. Then I felt कि हम सपने की बात कर रहे हैं, हम इन लोगों की बात कर रहे हैं, हमें तो मालूम नहीं, हमें और डिटेल में आना चाहिए। तो मैंने फिर लोकेश से कहा, लोकेश आप वहां से हैं, आप आइए, आप मुझे रिसर्च में हेल्प करिए, मगर हम रिसर्च कोई थ्योरी का कुछ नहीं है, मेरे पास सवाल हैं, ये सवालों का मुझे किसी से नहीं, जो रह रहा, आप चाहे दिल्ली में रहे नहीं रहे पुरानी, मुझे उनसे जवाब चाहिए जो लोग जिनसे कंसर्न है। अगर वो हाथ गाड़ी ढो रहा है तो मुझे हाथ गाड़ी के आदमी से चाहिए, अगर वो भिखारी है तो मुझे भिखारी, मुझे अपनी तरफ से कोई मिडिल क्लास वर्जन, चाहे आप वहीं रह रहे कई बार, यू मे से, आई वांट दैट आंसर। तो फिर ये गए, इन्होंने अपनी रिसर्च शुरू करी, इनकी तो अपनी पहले से वो काम करते ही थे, बट ये रिसर्च पे पर्टिकुलर आयाम थे, पर्टिकुलर क्वेश्चंस थे जो उसका जवाब मुझे चाहिए था। तो फिर वो मुझे डॉक्यूमेंट्री जवाब मतलब मिले, उन्होंने रिसर्च करी 2 साल लगा के, फिर वो जो डॉक्यूमेंट्री हिस्सा था उसको फिक्शनल कैरेक्टर्स के मुंह में डाला। फिर लोकेश ने कुछ जहां जो फिक्शनल डायलॉग्स थे बहुत सारे, उन्होंने फिर उसमें उन्होंने लिखा। So it was quite a process. It was a script at one, then it started getting aligned with the documentation, then Lokesh began the fictional part, then I started aligning and layering the fictional and the documentary together to create the final script. So is tarike se tha, and mera hamesha concern tha, which is something maybe I got from Moscow, that what is the psychology, what is the physiology of labor? If a person is laboring, what you see, we just dismiss it, oh hai, but uske muscle ko kya ho raha hai, uski मांसपेशी को क्या हो रहा है, उसकी फिजियोलॉजी में कहाँ रेंडर हो रहा है, जब वो वहां खड़ा हुआ है तो उसके नेक मसल्स को क्या हो रहा है, which is why then there is that scene which is of course again shot by Somu. It took us like 2 days, close shots, then we had to pump up we wanted to show, it's, we don't really realize कि जो आ रहा है गांव से वो उतना ही puny है, he doesn't have any great thing, we think, oh गरीब है चलो वो तो उठा लेगा, but he's picking up 100 kilos, 150 kilos of weight, and what is that doing to his mind and body? There was this query in my mind. And I don't live there, but sometimes when you don't live in a place, sometimes, you see it with a slight distance and you start seeing things in a very different way. And then, of course, Lokesh's knowledge of the area, many things he also added. That's why, he added to it and gave us certain dimensions. Then we had Patru, who is also Ravindra. He is also from that area. So some things he contributed. So there was a lot of improvisation contribution also, coming in at that time. And, of course, Raghu Bhai, as you know, he's a great improviser. There are some scenes which he's just improvised there. Pani Puri ka scene hai, and Rakash Jain is running there. He is improvised. So it's a whole combination. But the query and the search was, what is really happening to the migrant communities? What is happening to those जो इस शहर में पुराने जो रिहाइश है, people like, suppose someone like Lokesh who's been living there for centuries, he's been there, his family's been living, maybe my grandfather who lived there as a migrant from 1880s. There's one history. There are so many histories in the city. There's no one history. There's British history, there's medieval history, there's ancient history, there's migrant history. ये सब एक दूसरे में, कैसे लेयर कर रहे हैं. तो इसीलिए लगा कि ये फिल्म ही बन सकती है, ये थिएटर नहीं हो सकता, इसीलिए ये आया.
बहुत अच्छी चीज बताई कि ये थिएटर नहीं हो सकता, ये फिल्म ही हो सकती है. So true. और सौम्यानंदा ने एक बड़ी अच्छी बात बताई कि इट वाज नॉट पीलिंग अनियंस, द अनियन वाज ग्रोइंग, एक के ऊपर एक लेयर चढ़ती जाती है. I want to go to that opening scene. पहले तो बस सवाल ये होगा कि ऐसा ओपनिंग सीन आपने कैसे सोचा, और वो जो नाली में पानी टपक रहा है उसकी आवाज, सो साउंड कम्स विथ इट, द कैमरा,
Right.
और जो इसे टेक्निक बोलते हैं कि क्या, कि you leave the camera on for quite a long time so that for us we felt as if we are there. So what was behind it, in the sense, to start off with that?
We'll
And
begin with this. You could ask Somu to continue with it. I'll begin with the fact that for me, my first shot was always that we are mapping the city from the gutter. So I had already written that. For me, it was, I am mapping it because it is from there that the sewers, the gutters, the water, the entire public facility also goes from there. So for me, it's also people living near the gutter. So the gutter became a whole metaphor for the life, and also for a mapping of the actual bottom of the city. So that began from the gutter, and again from the gutter we start moving up to where people are actually staying on the roof. So that is, the reason. And of course, then the thing of staying and how much to stay is something that, of course, Somu, as a cinematographer, there are things that he decided, and you could ask him if he would like to say anything.
yeah, I think he's coming up.
Yeah.
Oh,
Actually, when I read the script, that first, it was a thick paragraph where we moved from the gutter to the chat, and that was straight from the first paragraph. I was terrified how to shoot this because I mean, in terms of there was no equipment or budget that could do justice to Anamika's imagination. So then we always had to find a way to that. I mean, because in my imagination, it while reading it felt like an uninterrupted movement from the drain pipe dripping to the water flowing down the different nalas to the rats to the people. So from there to find a way that we could achieve, but I have always found that the constraints end up giving the form. So it's not, the limitation is not a compromise. The limitation is when you wrestle with what you have, and that is the exciting part of making anything. So in that way we had multiple shots that then Pareshji stitched together because we couldn't do an uninterrupted movement.
Yeah, so Sauminanda, I would definitely like to say that you have well achieved what you wanted to convey. Because we as viewers, non-technical person, from the get-go, from the first scene, you could capture us, that this is the way the vertically pan camera, just the way you said, ki gutter se chhat tak upar le gaye. So, it made us think about it. It made us actually empathize with the whole situation, which is the idea that Anamika ji put ahead. Ki socho ye kya hai? Like, I mean, and from the get-go, you captured us. So it was a very well done scene. I must say that. I mean, I don't know. I don't have the technical words to express. But as a viewer, I will say that it was well communicated to both of you. Kudos to you guys. You, Anamika ji, to conceptualize that, Sauminanda ji, aap, or editing and everything, cinematography, everything was amazing, amazingly done. And so we would like to ask you, Anamika ji, जो पहले आपने बताया कि सपनों, लोगों के सपने तो हमारे खुद के सपने हम नहीं समझ पा रहे हैं यहाँ, और आप लोगों के सपने पूछ रहे हैं उनसे, उनकी आपको क्या सपने आ रहे हैं, क्या आप, व्हाट आर यू ड्रीमिंग अबाउट, और वो सब टू स्टिच टुगेदर एंड टू पुट इट अहेड. How could you do that? It's such a complex thing.
उसमें लोकेश और छवि जब गए, वो भी मुझे अच्छा लगेगा अगर लोकेश भी बाद में बताएं, जब वो गए और उन्होंने पूछा लोगों से, धीरे धीरे इन्होंने उनकी कॉन्फिडेंस अपने में बढ़ाई, बिकॉज ये लोकल लोग थे, तो बढ़े भी नहीं, तो अगर मैं जाऊंगी तो कहेंगे कि भाई कहाँ से आ गई, एंड ही स्पेंट टाइम, and it was very interesting the kind of dreams that they brought forward. And also another friend who was not in Old Delhi, wo Wazirpur ki thi Sarita, they got some very interesting, jaise I will ask Lokesh to describe it, but for example some of the things which came to me is like she's saying कि गंगा सूख रही है, मैं आसमान में उड़ रही हूँ, है ना, और ये एक मंदिर दिख रहा है, वहां सब मैल दिख रहा है ना। जब हमको ये लोकेश ने ट्रांसक्राइब करके ये ड्रीम भेजा, तो ये था कि गंगा सूख रही है, इट्स वेरी मेटाफोरिकल, व्हाट डू यू मीन गंगा सूख रही है, इज दिस लिटरल, इज दिस मीनिंग, और कुछ कहना चाह रही हैं, वो आसमान में रही हैं और उनको तरीके का मैल दिख रहा है, क्या ये गार्बेज है या ये कॉर्पसेस हैं या क्या है। तो उसके बाद इनके दोस्त हैं इंदु प्रकाश सिंह जी, इनके लोगों ने बताया कि बहुत सारे यंगस्टर्स आते हैं बाहर के शहरों से और वो वहीं गुजर जाते हैं फ्लाईओवर के नीचे, उनको जो है चूहे काट लेते हैं, दे हैव वेरी टेरेबल डिजीजेस, एंड from these things we started gleaning the nature of that dream. And then with Somu there was a lot of discussion that should we make this realistic, should we make this stylized, should we make this animated, should we so, and Archana and we had this absolutely, like it was like for 2-3 hours, and what is the style and method of dealing with a dream that is coming to us like this. And Archana's, I think, painting background also helped her. She said, no, let us not be shy of our backgrounds. You are from theater, go for it. I am from painting, go for it. Your actors are from theater. Let's use all the stylistics, all the, all the richness of our backgrounds. And the fact that then Somu, Rana Day, Gautam, they're all up, superbly artists from FTII, and so I'm saying that each dream, I mean, I could spend hours telling you how each dream was tackled. For example, when she says that मैं सब्जियां बेच रही हूँ, मुझे सब्जी के अंदर मुझे मेरे बच्चे दिख रहे हैं, and they are burning. That also gives you a sense of how much fear there is, which you will not catch in the normal thing. How much fear there is when you leave your children, you leave your families, आप migrate करके एक शहर में या सब कुछ छोड़ते हुए आप आ रहे हैं, क्या आपके ऊपर दिखता है. So, and I'd love Lokesh also to share some of the things that they found, and it would be nice for you to share.
जी जी, बिल्कुल आपने जो बात कही है, मैं अगर इसको कहूं कि अब ये जो जीवन है ना, इसके अंदर कहीं पे भी ये नहीं कि उसको आप किताबों से ढूंढ सकते हैं, वो से आप सीधे सीधे वहां पर जाके उस जिंदगी के साथ होकर कि आप तलाश सकते हैं. अब जैसे फॉर एग्जाम्पल जो अम्मा जिनको गंगा गंगा दिखती है, और तमाम जो उनका एक अपाहिज बेटा था, वो फुल मिठाई के ऊपर जो है वहीं पर रहा करती थी, एक छोटी सी झोपड़ी जिसके अंदर मैं लेट के अंदर ऑलमोस्ट अंदर घुसा था, और उन्होंने मुझे बोला, फिर मेरे को बोली आ गया शिव, तू आ गया. मुझे लगा मैं भोले शंकर शिव कहाँ से हो गया. छवि भी मेरे साथ थी उस वक्त पे, और फिर वहां बैठ के उनसे, उनका बेटा अपाहिज है, उनको दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है, मुझे हाथ पकड़ लिया उन्होंने, उनके हाथ में खुरदरापन, उनका जो खुरदरापन, उनकी झुग्गी में एक अजीब सी बदबू आ रही है वहां पे, और वहां पे साथ में चींटियां बहुत सारी घूम रही हैं, वो मुझे काट रही हैं. मतलब ये जो एहसास है, ये सारे एहसास उसके साथ जो है अलोंग विद उसके साथ निकल के आ रहे थे. अब फॉर एग्जाम्पल मैं अगर सपनों की बात करूं, कि वो सपने जो हैं, मतलब जिस दुकान के फट्टे के बाहर लोग सो रहे हैं, वहां पे बारिश के दरमियान, घुटन के दरमियान पसीने से भरे हुए सो रहे हैं, या पटरी पे लोग सो रहे हैं. और मतलब कल जैसे रात को देख रहे थे, फॉर एग्जाम्पल सपने उनको आ रहे हैं वहां पे कंटिन्यूस, कि वो पटरी पर जो बीच में लोग सोए पड़े हैं और वहां पे चूहे घूम रहे हैं, जो एक शुरुआत में आपको याद होगा अनामिका जी, मैंने आपको वीडियो भी भेजा था उसका, और वो चूहे घूम रहे हैं और वहां पे सड़े हुए अनाज की बदबू भी आ रही है। तो वो पटरी पे बीच में इसलिए सो रहे हैं क्योंकि दोनों तरफ से, जब बरामदे में अगर सामने सोएंगे तो वहां मच्छर काटेंगे, नींद पूरी नहीं होगी। और बीच में डिवाइडर पे इसलिए सो गए हैं क्योंकि वहां पे उस डिवाइडर के अंदर से उनको गाड़ियां गुजरती, हवा भी आ रही है, और उसके बीच में से, वहां से मैं उनके बीच में बैठ के वहां पे उनसे वो पूछ रहा हूँ सपनों के बारे में। तो ये इसमें ये एक बहुत बड़ी बात ये थी कि उनके साथ जाकर एक ऐसा भी ना लगे कि आप उनका इंटरव्यू लेने आए हैं, आपको एक रिश्ता बनाना है, और रिश्ता ऐसा बनाना है, बड़े ईमानदारी से उस रिश्ते को ढूंढना है कि पहली बात तो कई बार जाना होगा, और फिर उसके अंदर उनके साथ उनका हम उनकी उनका कोई पूछने आया है उनसे, उनसे उनके दुख दर्द कोई पूछने वाला भी नहीं है। तो इन सारी चीज को जो अनामिका जी ने दिया भी, और बार बार केयरफुल भी रहे इस बात को लेकर कि वो जो सारा कुछ वहां पर हो रहा है वो क्यों हो रहा है, कैसे हो रहा है। तो मुझे लग रहा है कि ये मोर और लेस के, आप इसको जो एम्पैथिकल विजडम कहते हैं, कुछ जो इस तरह की बात आप उसके अंदर जो ढूंढते हैं, वो ये है कि जो जी रहा है, तभी भोग रहे हैं, और उसके बीच में आप खुद वैसे जी रहे हैं, भोग रहे हैं, तभी आप उस चीज को निकाल सकते हैं। जैसे मैं एक चीज कहूंगा कि जो सोमू ने बात कही, मुझे अच्छी तरह याद है, जब आजादपुर मंडी के पास हम लोग गटर शूट करने गए थे, जब गटर को हम कितने दिनों तक ढूंढते रहे थे, एक एक कमरे से सिर्फ मेरे ख्याल से 4 फुट 5 फुट के कमरे होंगे, कहीं से सड़ी हुई लहसुन की बदबू आ रही है, कहीं पे वहीं पे सड़ी हुई सब्जियां जो हैं वो छोटे लेवल पर गरीब इलाकों में जाती है, उसकी बदबू आ रही है, पानी छाना जा रहा है, वहीं पे जीवन चल रहा है। मतलब ऑलमोस्ट वॉमिटिंग जैसी हालत थी उसको शूट करते हुए। मतलब ये सारे एक्सपीरियंस के साथ ये फिल्म हो रही, और इसमें बिल्कुल ईमानदारी के साथ ये सब चीज हो रही थी, और उसमें एक अनप्रिडिक्टेबिलिटी भी थी, चाहे वो डॉक्यूमेंटेशन था, चाहे वो शूटिंग थी, हर चीज के अंदर इस तरीके की चीज जो है वो साथ में चल रही थी। तो जो भोगा, जो महसूस किया, उसी को जो है मतलब पर्दे पे लाने की पूरी ईमानदारी से कोशिश की।
हाँ, ये भी था, बट इसमें मेन है कि जो आपने research और when those images actually came to us, एग्जाम्पल वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट है, लोकेश और छवि गए थे तो सड़क पे they found a lady completely without any clothes almost. She had gone mad, and because she had been raped several times. Now the thing is that how, as it again, it was we were discussing it with Somu and with Archana and with Ranade, how do we show this? We cannot show it with a middle class actor. We will have to take it from life. Who from life can we go? We went to Hanuman Mandir, and there we had the documentation of what they had collected, in which she's saying ke aja chusle, aja bharle, fuck me, all this kind of thing. So we had that dialogue, and one lady came up to us and she said, "ये आप क्या कर रहे हैं यहाँ?" So I said कि हम लोग फिल्म बना रहे हैं। तो कहते किस बारे में फिल्म? So then we told her कि ये कैरेक्टर है और इसके साथ ये बीता है। So she said, देखिए ये मेरे साथ भी बीता है और I am going to play this role for you, मैं करूंगी। And I remember when we actually shot her, Somu saying we cannot put her through any humiliation because she has been through it. The person who they saw on the street, but location Chavi saw, was the reality, and now we are trying to go into the humiliation that this woman has taken. And she said nahi, and Sumi said no, we cannot in any way cause her any further humiliation. So we will take it from a distance, but we will dwell on her face. If I'm incorrect, Somu, correct me, but we will dwell on that. So, you start entering the pain, the agony of the person. And that is, I think, very, very important. The way sometimes is the way sometimes Somu just stayed. but without any compromise. We did not want to make her do like things like opening her button, opening her clothes, this thing of respect, which I think Somu's also got from his documentary background. So that is also very important कि आप जब जा रहे हैं तो आप किस किस रिस्पेक्ट के साथ आप अपने लेंस को रख रहे हैं, आप लेंस को कहाँ रख रहे हैं, उसमें कितनी डिग्निटी है, कितनी इज्जत है, that also is part of your lensing. And so I'm saying that, so that is one example, in terms of how decisions were taken. And there's so many, I mean, there are 70 dreams. I could go on, but I mean, I'm sure you have a limited time. There are many things. And if Somu would like to say anything, or Ranade, have you left?
Yeah, he did. He did.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
No, I
And-
had.
Or if Archana, or I mean, in the sense I'm talking now about those who were actually in the execution of the image.
Actually, what was really nice about the whole experience was that it was a very fluid experience. I mean, it was a very organic process. Obviously, nothing was a ready-made template. Nothing was kind of, frozen as such. And it was always left, open as a process. And the collaborative element, the co-creative element is something which was, I think, gave an absolutely new dimension and approach to making of the film, which I think made a major kind of difference. And also, having worked with Anamika earlier, I mean, I think Anamika has this amazing, what one would say, intuitive facility of using the potential, first selecting them and using the potential of all her, team members. So it is like getting the best out of them. She understands them, what they can deliver, and she kind of uses their capacity to the full. And the teamwork is what makes the sort of major difference, where the best of from everyone is, and to the best of their capability and their, sort of, whatever sort of characterizes them. She uses them and utilizes them fully. And so, I mean, that is what I really would credit to Anamika, in terms of making a difference to the whole process of generating a kind of film like this.
So, Archanaji, we totally get that her vision was there, and she took the charge of the ship and brought it to where we are. I have a quick question for you. That production design, and as you also said that your background is painting and so on and so forth. And you briefly talked about your challenges, but if you can expand a little bit in terms of how a normal production design works and how you had to adapt to this kind of film, because it's a very different process.
Yes, I am not a trained production designer, you see. And when sort of Anamika did ask me to do the dreams, it was kind of, sort of going through the script. And it was this whole process, because somewhere as an artist, one is always looking inwards. One is also looking at themes within a theme. And also because of my background, my both in the visual areas as well as, in the textile area. And so it also gave me a very nice kind of wide, expansive framework in which I could kind of put so many elements together. And also, sort of, it was more a kind of exploration for me. And that is something which, as an art, sort of sensibilities wherever you can. So that was quite interesting for me, because having worked as an artist, then as a designer, and also working with NIFT for almost 20 years, it was like trying to get look at things more as a process, more in motion, not a static kind of costume designer. I mean, which is what Anamika, I did my first production with Anamika. And that was very, very exciting for me, the Antaryatra. And from there, I took to designing costumes for quite a few directors, but that was not very satisfying at all. But working with Anamika always left this wide space open, where you could kind of unashamedly say, yes, let's try this out. And Anamika would never say no. She said, okay. So that was a fantastic experience for me. I'm very, very grateful to her for that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Please look at that. No, I also feel जैसे हमको अभी again इनकी research के बाद लोकेश की तो we got this dream. I'm just another I still remember, in which he says कि मैं ऊपर जा रही हूँ, मैं उड़ती जा. I still remember Somu saying that no, this is not literal flying. I'm just trying to tell you the nature of the debate. So Somu said, no, let's take it that she's just climbing up these steps, and so the flying is almost like she's going up, and it's like, she is going towards something within, but the outer movement is climbing up the steps. And then she talks about this temple, which again, has been created. There's this little temple which is floating, on the waters. So I'm saying that again brings in a little slightly, sort of surrealistic element. Then, we come to very, very realistic, because that time these, there were birds just flying out into the sky. And Somu says, shall we just take them, And they were just there. I mean, they don't usually come there, but on that evening, they were just flying there, and, he took them, and there's this huge moon shining there. And there's a sense of dream. Is it real? Is it dream? So I'm saying there was all this happening also. There were things happening. And then there were this, and then, like, for example, the dream of Chadammi, Raghubhai, and he says कि मुझे अपना घर दिख रहा है और and उसमें लाशें हैं और मैं अचानक मैं उठ जाता हूँ और मुझे लगता है मेरे पोते को कुछ हो गया. Something has happened to my grandchild. Now, so if you remember, Archana, he's playing the flute, and there is a white temple which is crossing. That is, Archana has painted that.
Interesting.
Because Archana is now going on. She doesn't say what she has done. You see, this is the problem with her. We have this wonderful team. Anyway, so she has actually painted that. And then Rana Day has animated that. And then wo jab asman se guzarta hai Safed Mandir, suddenly you hear the chopal ka sound, which has been layered by Gautam. And then you come to a very old door. The door opens. It's a very real door, and Somu's taken it with completely realistic texture. And we enter into a space, and through the gap, which is, in fact, this place was found by Ravindra near Maharashtra, near a village near Maharashtra. And suddenly we find, and then, our art person said that, let the bodies, and he and Somu discussed, let the bodies slightly rise, and you see them levitating, and then you smash right back, almost, that is Paresh Ji, very Brechtian almost, he just brings you snap back, and he says, "Mujhe lag raha mere pote ko kuch ho gaya." So, I'm saying that you can see that in one dream, we have mixed at least 5 styles and genres of depiction, of taking. I mean, I don't know if Somu would like to say anything about this, because there's a huge contribution from him too, also on, on how to imagine the dream.
For me, the dreams were the most challenging and the most exciting aspect of the film, because that was where we had to move away from realism totally, because there is no way that you even if we tried to depict the dreams in a realistic way, we would lose the essence of the dream. So the dream in that way, it kind of forced us to find a language that was something different, that was not dramatic in a linear and progressive way, that had aspects of surrealism, aspects of and that was where the sometimes you don't need the actual thing to say what that thing is. Sometimes a gesture is enough. Sometimes having something else stand in for an idea is more powerful than presenting or trying to present an idea that you cannot present. That the reality of the dreamer we don't know. So we are only trying to grapple with how to kind of evoke something of the dreamer through these little experiments with form that we are trying. But that was that kind of pushed everyone, whether it's from Archana to all of us on the shoot, to Pareshji, to also the in terms of the acting. How do you direct someone who's in a dream? That the woman who was walking up those steps. So it kind of challenged everyone to find a form that was evocative more than descriptive, and somehow through that evocation, we're all trying to find the reality of the dreamer, which we don't see. So yes, that was. I mean, it was the most challenging for all of us, I think, and because it's the central form of the whole film, the dreams.
Thank you. ये आपने Sominanda, we will come back to you क्योंकि दो तीन सवाल और है, and I know even the audience will have questions, so I'm going to ask a couple of questions. आपने ब्रेक्टियन स्टाइल की एडिटिंग की, परेश कामदार की बात की, तो परेश जी, have a question that again it's probably going on the same theme of editing this kind of a film where in a way you had said that should not be longer than 2 hours. Are you there, Parishji? Okay. So you briefly talked about managing with or Anamika ji के साथ आपने back and forth किया. फिर भी talk to us or give us a little more details into the whole process of editing this film. You said it took 6 months, so
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. No, the thing, the most challenging thing was to kind of be able to imagine the energy that the film should have, taking cue from the script, from what she was saying, and from the material. These are the three sources, So I realized that this can't be a linear progression, obviously, because at the very basic level, 3 narratives are being traced. But the wild shifts of rhythm, they were very essential. तो जो एक wild whale उग आती है ना, it had to have that kind of a growth. Very unpredictable, very non-linear. और कहीं जैसे simultaneously बहुत सारी branches एक tree से grow कर रही है, और फिर भी वो एक tree है ना? So I mean, that's the kind of analogy I have. So to be able to imagine it and then to keep it organic, ऐसे लगना चाहिए कि ये अपने आप ग्रो हो रहा है जैसे कि पेड़, है ना? तो फिल्म के अंदर की उसकी जान ही उसको इस तरह से लेके चल रही है, तो वो इमेजिन कर पाना और वो पकड़ लेना, फिर तो आप उसको 10 तरह से, अगर पता चल गया कि चर्च गेट जाना है तो फिर तो आप 10 रास्तों से जा सकते हैं, है ना, तो वो बार्गेन अनामिका जी के साथ कर सकते थे कि ये गली से अगर आप नो एंट्री लगा दोगे तो मैं इस गली से जाऊंगा, है ना।
So
तो
true.
वो विजुलाइज कर पाना, क्योंकि उनके मटेरियल में ही वो बात थी। उन्होंने जिस तरह से पूरी चीज को शूट की है, जिस तरह से विजुलाइज किया है ना, तो इट वाज नॉट डिफिकल्ट कि इसमें से बस वो ये इमेजिन करके इसको स्वीकार कर पाना, तभी आप उसको एग्जीक्यूट कर पाते हो। अगर आपकी तालीम बोलती है कि नहीं भाई ऐसे नहीं जा सकते, है ना, ये तो बहुत ही वाइल्ड हो जाएगा या ये गलत हो जाएगा, है ना, तो वो उससे आपको छुटकारा पा लेना है एंड उनका जो विजन है उसको फॉलो करना है।
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल। थैंक यू थैंक यू।
परेश जी ने बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज कही, जिस चीज से हम लोग को भी सीखने को बहुत मिला। ही वाज सेइंग ना अबाउट द द एसेंस ऑफ द ट्री एंड येट द ब्रांचिंग ऑफ द ट्री। ये तो मतलब ये दिस इज द ब्रिलियंस ऑफ परेश जी एक्चुअली। एंड ऑल्सो वी ऑल्सो काइंड ऑफ ट्रैक्ड ईच अदर बिकॉज वी फेल्ट के देखिए हम सड़क की बात कर रहे हैं और वो सड़क कहाँ जाएगी, कब खत्म होगी, कब शुरुआत हो जाएगी, कब उसमें गड्ढा आ जाएगा, कब आप उस गड्ढे के अंदर से शायद निकल भी जाएंगे या खत्म हो जाएंगे, या आप एक छोटी सी पतली गली से निकल जाएंगे। सो उसमें कहीं भी हमें प्रिडिक्टेबिलिटी नहीं चाहिए। एंड आई
क्योंकि
थिंक
उनकी लाइफ ही इतनी अनप्रेडिक्टेबल है, उसमें इतना वायलेंस है, तो आप कैसे सीधी फिल्म बना सकते हैं जो जो जिस दुनिया से और जिन लोगों से ये डील कर रही है, और उनका खुद का विजन और उनके अंदर जितना गुस्सा है इनकी लाइफ को लेके, नो, तो उसको आप शांत सुशील कन्या नहीं बना सकते इस फिल्म को।
नहीं,
नो,
बिल्कुल
वो तो वाइल्ड एकदम फ्लड आया हुआ है और बांध को तोड़ देगी, है ना, वैसी एनर्जी है और उसी तरह से उसको आगे बढ़ाना है। तो या सॉरी मैं बीच में बोल गया,
नहीं, नहीं,
बट ये
बहुत
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 इम्पोर्टेंट
अच्छा लग
बात
रहा है
आप
आप।
कह रहे
हाँ जी जी बिल्कुल। हाँ हाँ हाँ।
No, it was very important। और जैसे अनामिका जी ने पहले बताया कि ये इट वाज अ कोलैबोरेटिव, सबके साथ जो, एंड शी इज गिविंग इनफ एंड इक्वल एंड आई वुड से फैंटास्टिक importance to the whole team, and that's the reason Swar Akshar invited the whole team to be here and be part of
Absolutely.
this talk. So thank you।
और ना मैं लोकेश जी की तरफ जा रहा हूँ। लोकेश जी, इतनी सारी बातें हैं आपके कैरेक्टर को लेके, आपके डायलॉग्स, आपके रिसर्च। तो सवाल मैं आपके डायलॉग के बारे में पूछूंगा कि हाउ डिड यू मैनेज, और कैसे ये एक एक कैरेक्टर के साथ, जैसे आकाश जैन का कैरेक्टर है, वो तो पूरी क्या बोलते हैं, गालिब के शेर भी चलाते हैं और बहुत बहुत बढ़िया उर्दू में बोलते हैं। और the part where you bring in not only one place, there are a couple of scenes जो हैं, वहाँ पे हमें मिलते हैं गंगा जमनी की बातें, हिंदू मुस्लिम की बातें। तो ये स्क्रिप्ट में तो होगा, लेकिन डायलॉग के साथ जो आप लाए, तो थोड़ी बहुत उसके बारे में बात करेंगे।
हेलो
Yes।
जी। हाँ, बिल्कुल, आपने एक बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण पक्ष के ऊपर इशारा किया है। ये इसमें मैं बहुत ज्यादा श्रेय दूंगा कि अनामिका जी ने जो जैसा है, क्योंकि पुरानी दिल्ली के अंदर देखिए बहुत सारे जो माइग्रेट करके लोग आए हुए हैं, कोई अपनी अवधी में बोल रहा है, कोई भोजपुरी में बोल रहा है, कोई बिहारी अपनी यूपी की भाषा में बोल रहा है, कोई राजस्थान की भाषा में बोल रहा है। मुस्लिम इलाके के अंदर बहुत सारे कश्मीरी लोग माइग्रेट करके आते हैं, वो कश्मीरी में बोल रहे हैं। हालांकि हमारी फिल्म में कश्मीरी नहीं आए उस तरीके से। तो ये, और पतरू जो है उसकी अपनी एक करखानदारी जबान है, मतलब कहाँ जा रही है बे, क्या कर रही है बे, ये उसका ह्यूमर है। और ये पुरानी दिल्ली के अंदर खालिस टिपिकल ह्यूमर है। और उसके अंदर कोई इसका ताल्लुक किसी मजहब से नहीं है, किसी उससे सरोकार नहीं है, ये ह्यूमर है। और उसमें लोकोक्तियां बनाता है, ये जो इलाका है मुहावरे पैदा करता है अपने आप, जो है ना उसके अंदर उसको जबान के मजे लेने की आदत है। तो जैन साहब जो हैं उनको वो गालिब, मीर और मोमिन, ज़ौक, इन तमाम चीजों की मोहब्बत में घूम रहे हैं, दीवानेपन में घूम रहे हैं। पतरू साहब जो है वो उस तरह की इडियम, उस तरह के मुहावरे, उस तरह की लोकोक्तियां, उस तरह की तमाम चीजों को ढूंढ रहे हैं। और तीसरी तरफ छदम्मी है, जो एक तरीके से लोक संस्कृति का पूरक है, कि वो वहां से वो तमाम चीजों को लेकर आ रहे हैं। और इन सब के बावजूद हमारे एक भाई है जो केरला से आए हुए हैं, जिनकी अपनी हिंदी और तमाम चीजें। तो ये चीजें तो मूल रूप से किरदारों के, बाकी जितने भी किरदार हैं वो उस फ्रेगमेंटेड तरीके से भाषा का जो इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं। कोई बंगाली है तो टूटी हुई हिंदी का, कोई भोजपुरी है तो उसका, कोई अपने जब जब वहां पे वो अपने कीर्तन कर रहे हैं तो उसमें अलग तरह का मजा आ रहा है। और जब वो सरमत की मजार पे जो है गा रहे हैं सरमत के कव्वाली, तो उसका एक अलग तरह का फेवर है। तो ये जो है यही तो हिंदुस्तान में गुलदस्ता है,
बात है।
गुलों के रंग हैं, यही तो है मजा। कि भाई यहाँ पर जो है एक तरफ एक ठेले पे बिरयानी भी मिल रही है, दूसरे पे शरबते, मतलब जो है ना मोहब्बत भी है, और तीसरे पे जो है अपने जैन साहब के लिए छने हुए पानी के समोसे भी मिल जाएंगे गली के अंदर, और तमाम चीज मिल जाएगी। और जितनी आप चीजें चाहें उसके अंदर ढूंढ दीजिए। तो ये इस इलाके की खुसूसियत है, इस इलाके की जो है ना ये एक एक खूबसूरती है। अब मुझे लगता है ये इलाका, इस चीज की जो खूबसूरती है, अनामिका जी भी इस चीज से बखूबी मोहब्बत करती रही हैं, और मजे जो है हम लोग खूब लेते रहे हैं। तो जलेबी जो है हर किसी की शीरी तो है, और लेकिन जलेबी से पहले के जो चटकारे हैं वो हर कोई अपने अलग अलग खाने के बाद कहता है चलो यार जलेबी जरूर खाते हैं। और दूध जलेबी खाते हैं भी, दूध जलेबी भी खाते हैं मैंने बचपन में तो बहुत खाई है, अब डर लगता है दूध जलेबी खाने में तो ये
बिल्कुल।
मुझे लगता है कि आती है ये पूरी जो है ना उसकी तमाम उस जुड़ाव से आती है, जहाँ पर इतनी किस्म की विविधता के साथ जीवन चल रहा है। और वो विविधता वैसी नहीं है जो गालिब और मीम के वक्त की थी, वो विविधता आज की डेट में जो इतने सारे मजदूर वहां पे रह रहे हैं, और जो वहां पे उनका जीवन है, और जो बहुत टफ जीवन है, उसके अंदर से वो तमाम ह्यूमर और उसके बीच के क्रुएलिटी, उसके बीच की गालियां, गालियां जैसे गालियों के बिना पुरानी जिंदगी अधूरी है। मुझे लगता है एक कदम बढ़ाएंगे भी चार गालियां आपको सुनाई दे जाएंगी। और मतलब अब बुरा भी लगता है, सारी गालियां जो हैं है, लेकिन गालियां जो हैं उसको गालियां भी बनाते रहेंगे। अब जैसे कि कोई कह रहा है कि अबे तेरे को गंडेरी की तरह चूस के फेंक दूंगा साले मैं तेरे को तो अब गंडेरी जो है दिल्ली के ठेले पे मिल रही है, तो गंडेरी की तरह चूस के फेंक दूंगा मैं तेरे को। तो ये जो बात है ये उस तरह के विजुअल से ही वहां तमाम से आ रही है, या मैं तुझे बेड़मी की तरह फ्राई कर दूंगा। तो ये तमाम चीजें जो है वही के जीवन से, कल्चर से निकल के आ रही है। इसको पतरू बहुत एंजॉय करता है अपने कैरेक्टर के अंदर। और जैन साहब भी मतलब जो एक तरफ तो ये बातें करते हैं, दूसरी तरफ उनका वही वो मतलब एक तरीके के, मेरे पास और कोई दूसरा लफ्ज नहीं है, कमीने और हरामी भी है तो उस चीज का भी उनके अंदर जो है वो एक जुड़ा हुआ है। तो ये मेरे को लगता है कि एक खिचड़ी है साहब, जो इस तमाम चीज के अंदर से निकल के आई है।
वेल सेड लोकेश जी, आपने बहुत अच्छी तरह से बताया जो आप कह रहे थे वो। और वी विल बी ओपनिंग द गैलरी सून फॉर द फ्रेंड्स टू आस्क क्वेश्चंस, बट उससे पहले मैं अनामिका जी आपका और आपकी पूरी टीम का तहे दिल से बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद करना चाहूंगी स्वर अक्षर की ओर से। और खास करके मैं आपकी टीम के जो जो आप whosoever said something over here, I'm going to use your words and going to say this कि जो I have made some notes कि सौम्यनंदा जी ने कहा कि इंटेंशन इज रियलिटी, एंड जो एम्पैथी दिखानी है वो जरूर, और बड़ी मैं कहूंगी कि इतनी अच्छी तरह से आपने दिखाई है वो एम्पैथी कि वी एज व्यूअर्स, एज आई हैव बीन मेंशनिंग थ्रू आउट द प्रोग्राम, कि हम तो व्यूअर्स है, हमें कोई टेक्निकल साइड का पता नहीं है, बट वी वर so much into it that before we started this program, we told Anamika ji that we have viewed this film more than once. Oh, don't ask us why. Not because we were conducting this program, but it made us think so much. And every time we saw it, जैसे एक एक अनियन का लेयर खुलता गया, और every time we watched it, we found something new, and we have made so many points that अगर यहाँ बोलते बैठेंगे तो 3-4 घंटे लग जाएंगे, इतने points उसमें से निकाले हैं। और जैसे लोकेश ने कहा कि ये फिल्म सही में लफ्जों के परे है। Please watch it, and all of you will enjoy it. And another thing जो रानडे जी आपने बताया कि वो पूरा जो आपको ब्रेव टू एक्सप्रेस योर लिव्ड एक्सपीरियंसेस, जो अनामिका जी ने आप सबको वो खुला दौर दे दिया, और आप सब ने इन्वॉल्व होके, अर्चना जी के शब्दों में कहूँ तो कोलैबोरेटिव को क्रिएटिंग एक्सपीरियंस आप सब ने कहा है। और जस्ट टू जस्ट टू सम अप, परेश जी आपने कहा कि ये जो फिल्म है सही मायने में एक कालजयी फिल्म बनी रहेगी, बार बार लोग उसे देखेंगे। शायद आज ना सुन के कुछ उसके दिमाग में आए, लेकिन बार बार देखेंगे और सालों साल इसकी बातें होती रहेंगी। धन्यवाद। और नाउ विल बी ओपनिंग for the gallery for our viewers to ask the questions.
And before I go there, I'm going to mention something जो मैंने शुरू में बहुत शॉर्ट में की कि अमृत जी का एक बार फिर से तहे दिल से शुक्रिया। दो बातें हुई। जब फरवरी में तो ये बात हमने उनके घर पे की थी, और फिर हमारी बातें चलती रहती हैं। और एक कुछ अमृत जी ने मुझे आर्टिकल भेजा, वो अरविंद राजगोपाल, if I'm not sure, let me just minute.
Yes.
अरविंद राजगोपाल जी का आर्टिकल था जो ये फिल्म पे है, और वहां से हमारी बात शुरू हुई। मैंने पूछा ये आर्टिकल पढ़ के कि ये फिल्म कहाँ देख सकते हैं, एंड देन he went on to say Anamika ji, and we are here today. So thank you very much.
Absolutely, thank you very much.
Right, and we'll open the gallery, और आपका वर्चुअल या आपका हाथ ऊपर कीजिए। We are just going through our technical thing, and
yeah, we can see all of you. Please raise your hand and we can definitely invite you to ask the questions.
It would be good if you have actually seen the film.
Yeah,
because
definitely.
And the discussion doesn't really mean anything. And of course, it's on Good Show and it's on Apple. It's on Good Show, and I've sent Shailesh ji the link. You could ask him and you can see it all over India. It's also now open to the world. It is slowly opening.
Right. और जैसे आपने बताया अनामिका जी, once I put this recording on YouTube, उसकी लिंक के साथ ये फिल्म की लिंक भी I'll be putting it together, and
we request please ask the question and just keep it to this film, and keep the question short if you have any questions.
Surendra ji.
I don't have a question. My only regret is, after listening to such rich discussion, which really enriches and how should I say, makes me all the more eager to see the film. And at the first opportunity, I'm going to see the film. Now, Anamika ji and Lokesh ji and all the others who have contributed to this film, and already there is some outline in my mind, but everything will be, how should I say, iska मूर्त स्वरूप होगा जब मैं film देख पाऊंगा. And Anamika ji just said it's going to be it is available on Apple TV. I'll try to watch it on Apple TV.
Good show. He'll send you the link. Shailesh ji will.
सुरेंद्र भाई, ये Apple TV नॉर्थ अमेरिका पे नहीं है, A good
Oh,
show is
I
worldwide
see.
and very easy to get on it.
I see.
Yeah.
So
So
I'll wait until I see that, on YouTube, and I'll take it from there and definitely watch it at the first opportunity. Other than that, thanks all for participating, more than I can say. And Neetaji has already done that. Thanks. That's it for me. Namaste.
Thank you, Surendra Bhai.
जी,
And I believe, Anamika ji, we have talked so much and everybody has covered many points. And I'm sure people have not watched the movie, watched the film, so that they don't have as many questions. But it looks like we don't have any more questions coming our way.
I know our friend who's here, Hasuben and Manubai, they have watched, but their questions must have been answered. I'm pretty sure because they are always on it and would be there. But anyway, there they are.
Hasuben, do you have a question?
No, I don't have any question. It was a really very informative session, very wonderful. The movie itself was a very unique experience. I was telling Salish Bhai even that the way you have filmed it from the gutter going up through a different lens was just an awesome experience. And I think, yeah, the film makes us gives that empathy view of the people living there, rather than you've seen so many movies of, this kind of areas being filmed sometimes with Bollywood type. But no, this is the experience that you see from the people who live there, experiencing the life that they live and their dreams.
That's
Thank
what we
you.
would- Thank you so much. Thank you.
I have one question, which I know Soumitra left, but Anamika ji, either you or Paresh, who can answer, is to put the virtual effects into the film. How that idea came and to Paresh, you the editing of that. In my mind, how do you come up with the idea?
See, when we got the dreams, like for example, there is this dream in which he says कि सब कुछ खुशहाल है, हमें सेब दिख रहे हैं, संतरे दिख रहे हैं, और अचानक सांप आ जाते हैं. और खुशहाल है, हमें गैया दिख रही है, सेब दिख रहे हैं, संतरे दिख रहे हैं. Now the thing is, this cannot be done realistically. So Archana and Ranade, and again we felt that this is, in fact, Archana suggested, let us then use folk paintings. So if you remember it,
Yes.
in which, so we also use this thing is that instead of just seeing the santras, they're sort of almost falling from the sky. There's all bounty, and then I think Archana suggested using the Madhubani art, because that's also folk art, and the film is about people. So we decided also to bring in folk art. So this is the point which I was making previously also. There are times in which we've used surrealism, but times in which we've used, so everything has had an approach. And for this, we actually have, for this particular dream, so each dream we had to find a key as to what is the genre, what is the style, and how are we going to show this painting. Here, Archana, in fact, decided, she said that, no, let's go in, because this is not something you can show real cows and real oranges, that just makes no sense. Let us go into the folk memory of our people. And what is better than going into the folk memory of our people than folk paintings?
Perfect.
Correct. Right. So because and remember that there are so many if it is tribal communities have their way of showing their art. Rural communities have their way of showing art. Urban poor who have come and left their villages and are staying in urban areas, you will see, if you remember, there is a scene in which he's lying there and there is a Spider-Man sitting there.
Yes.
From reality, this is nothing which you're seeing is in my head. It is from, we saw someone He was sleeping and there was the Spider-Man ka doll just sitting there. So I'm saying that, so these are things that when you look close, when you look even in Bombay, when you look, and Delhi, of course, but even in Bombay, when you go towards Dadar, for example, you will see that each person who has migrated has got just that maybe 3-foot space on the pavement. But each space is painted, or there is, there will be an altar, there'll be a mandir, there'll be an image, there'll be something which makes that, even that street space, home.
Yes.
The street becoming home for someone who does not have a home, who is homeless. So I'm trying to say that that is the concern,
Yeah.
rather than just trying to be, we were not trying to be, oh, come on, let's do this. We were trying to be as truthful to the reality that we were receiving. And also, like if they had told us that, ye jo hai, ye Bihar ke hain, ya ye Madhya Pradesh ke hain, ya ye UP ke hain. So we tried to figure out, like that well. He said, main to kuएं mein hu. That dream. And there, Somu goes very realistically into a well. Now, what sort of well? यूपी का अलग कुआं होगा, यूपी के अलग इलाकों के अलग कुएं होंगे, बिहार का कुआं होगा, बॉम्बे में, यहाँ मेरे इलाके में बहुत सारे कुएं हैं. What is that कुआं? What is the feeling of that कुआं? Is it a sense of just entering darkness and never getting out? So all these things, actually fed the way we have treated that. And therefore then Ranade was told, and his people who were working, and of course, I wish Ranade was here, because they were so terrified of me, because I would arrive every month and they were all youngsters. Everyone's like 22 to 25. So they had this huge poster saying, "Auntie aane wali hai!" Exclamation, exclamation, because this auntie would arrive and say, "ये क्या कर रहे हो? ये कैसे हो रहा है? मतलब इसका ये मतलब है, ये सपना ऐसा होना चाहिए, और उसकी rhythm ऐसा है." So even animation है. It's not enough. What is the rhythm of the animation? What is the animated object doing? Is also as much as part of acting. You can't do an animation if you don't understand what acting is, rhythm is, tempo is, space is. So all these things, Archana also flew down from Delhi. He spent time with them. Then, Ranade would spend time with them, because he's, how to get that aesthetics to a younger generation, which is very important.
So Anamika ji, one more time I would like to say that, believe me, at least I can talk for two of us. 1 second, Archana ji. We have noticed most of it. May not be everything, but we as viewers have so many things to talk about. I mean, we have so many questions. I will tell you, we have also noticed the red flag. We have noticed the international going around in the background. We have noticed many things, and your efforts as a team have been well noticed. Archana ji, sorry, you were saying something.
No, just briefly, for most of us, it was a very kind of a lived experience. And I think I would recommend, if you really want to know Delhi, you actually have to go with Lokesh ji, and he'll give you a real life experience of what, each and every kind of nook and corner of Delhi. I mean, he knows it all. So that was another kind of great experience for all of us.
Sure, like we also have noticed the dialogues, "Ek se leta hu, char ko khilata hu," and "Diwane khas," and all those things we have noticed. So your efforts have not gone unnoticed, I must say that.
One thing, there's another dimension to the dialogues which I want to bring in, is that apart from Lokesh's fantastic contribution and understanding of language, there is also the fact that, when they documented the real characters, so when they documented one of the pickpockets, that documented dialogue is spoken by Patru.
Yes.
So he's not speaking a fictional dialogue.
Oh, okay.
I want you to understand this, very important. I think this point has not been told by Lokesh. that some of the, like for example, Akash Jain is completely fictional and completely written by Lokesh, but some of the dialogues, for example, when he says कि आपके पास अगर 1 करोड़ होंगे तो आप क्या करेंगे,
Mhm.
answer is not a fictional answer. It is a documented answer which Lokesh got from a pickpocket who said this text.
Wow.
That I put into the mouth of a fictional character of Pathu, of a pickpocket. This is a very important key of this thing. Also, you will find there is a whole text in which he says, smack pita hu or ye karta hu. And then there is another text, कि जिंदगी में 2 रास्ते हैं, एक मौत की तरफ ले जाता है, एक जिंदगी. This is not a fictional dialogue. It is not written by us. It is written by a real person who Lokesh and Chavi interviewed. And so that is a documented dialogue. So many of the characters are also fictional, but they are speaking in documented, the language documented from real people.
Mm-hmm.
Some are, of course, completely created, the language and poetry, which of course Lokesh, when you actually hear him, he speaks beautifully, is taken from that. So I'm saying that there is a mixed, and that mixing of the fictional and the documented has been done by me, by the merging of this. So you're not sure, is this fictional? Is this documented? Is this fictional? Is this documented? This is an important point. I also want to say that the acting styles we have tried to keep moving throughout the film. So
Yes.
there are 350 real actors. There are 4 of our very, very trained actors. And they are also using very, very different acting styles, which may shift depending on the situation from scene to scene, which is also something not used very often. And interesting how, Pareshji is also, moved from the gesture, from one gesture to the other, and now he's also brought in and concentrated and, brought all that out very interestingly.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you very much. बस ये बात के साथ ही आज की ये दीवाने खास महफिल हम समाप्त करते हैं. Thank you very much, everybody. And you will see the YouTube link and the details very soon. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you
very
very
much.
much. Thank you so much. And Amritji, thank you very special from all of us. Great. हमको invite किया और सबको invite किया, बहुत अच्छा लगा. Thank you so much. It's a great honor.
Thank you.
Thank you.